Welcome to TiffDoesLoans podcast. So today I have Chris Carlson.
Hi, everybody.
With Marshall Reddick. So how are you?
I'm doing well.
Thank you
well. It's Friday,
so much.
And
yes.
The sun's out, and I have no complaints.
Even though Friday really means nothing in this business.
Friday means nothing in this business, unless it's today's market, in which case.
Exactly.
Then you might have the
maybe,
weekend off.
yeah.
No.
That is very 100%. True.
I thankfully have a couple closings this week, or this Friday, actually, and
yes,
no open houses on the docket.
Okay,
today.
So you get a little bit of a break.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into it, but I do obviously a lot of investment sales.
Yep.
And those are tenant occupied oftentimes. So open houses are not really in my wheelhouse or vocabulary a lot of times, right? So I don't necessarily have to be like the guy there for showings doing the open houses, the circuit from 1 to 3, 2 to 5.
I'm like that too. Like I'm not a real estate agent, but I pop in, but I could still control how many I do.
Yeah.
It's not like I have to, like, hey, I'll add some on the weekends. This weekend I did not. I did several. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming. Chris, why don't you just kind of, tell us about your journey into real estate and just how you got here.
Yeah, my journey is one of I think many real estate professionals, which is by total accident, right? And good luck and good fortune and trying hard. But I can probably trace this back all the way to Chicago, where I moved to Orange County a couple years ago.
Okay, but you're from Chicago.
I grew up in Orange County. I left when I was 18. Went to college in the Midwest, and then ended up in Chicago for 15 years.
Wow.
And I stumbled into real estate because I was like 23, 24 years old, and I was a line cook. I was a professional chef, essentially, working in Italian restaurants and stuff throughout Chicago. And I had a buddy that was like couch hopping and was staying on my couch and was just there for a couple of weeks hanging out. And he would come from Kansas to Chicago, and for the summer only, for a few months, to rent out apartments. Right, that's all he did.
Yeah,
and he would make like $5,000-$6,000 every few weeks just renting out apartments, doing leases. And I was like, this sounds interesting. I make $8 an hour. Tell me more. That's so wild. Yeah. Tell me more about this apartment thing that you're doing. And so in Chicago, it's really popular during the summer. Like the leasing season has been. It's a young population over there, and so you can make a lot of money as a leasing agent. And hours got slow in this late winter, early spring in my chef job. And I went and interviewed with some property management companies that had a portfolio of properties to lease. And I was like, let me get this figured out, see if I like it, right? And did it on my off hours, whatever, my off days. And oh my gosh, I think I made my first weekend more money in 1 or 2 showings, right?
That's
of a couple
so
hours,
wild.
like $1,000 in one day or something that I would have made all month or all week, right? And I was like, I think I'm going to leave my cooking job.
And leasing. I don't think I've ever heard the angle come in from there. Okay, so you started more in the apartment complexes.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Representing landlords as a leasing agent. A lot of those landlords lived out of state, and they relied on their property management company to get these units rented out, right? And so I started there just as a leasing agent. There's a bunch of leasing agents at this little company. And eventually the boss looked at me and was like, you're the only guy that's kind of coming in every day and is doing this and wants to learn about investment real estate and sales and all of this stuff. Why don't you manage this whole portfolio? The whole leasing aspect, the whole sales portfolio, and really dig into this. And he paid me a salary, he gave me an opportunity, and I worked there for 10 years in Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a great experience. So I learned about 1031 exchanges, which we'll talk about. I learned about value add and renovation and all these really creative ways to get into real estate, to invest in real estate. I got into investing in real estate through that. And it's just kind of been this, really amazing learning curve. And it eventually brought me back out to Southern California.
And so for the leasing, did you have to be licensed? Did you become an agent later?
It's the Wild West out there. So
okay, so you just,
I don't know if it's still this way, but you had a 90-day temporary leasing license permit, essentially. So you could lease properties for 90 days.
Okay.
You didn't have to take a class. You just had to have a managing broker sign off on you. Once that 90-day expires, now you got to go get your actual license and take the courses, right?
Okay. So like a real estate license.
Like a real estate license.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went and did that, got my real estate license. Out there, they call it a broker's license.
Okay.
So I got my broker's license and then started doing traditional sales because a lot of those landlords, they bought in like 2007, right? Market was at its height.
Just down,
peak,
yeah.
And then it crashed, right? 2009, 2008, just like took a dump. And they had no choice. We call them forced landlords. They had to rent out their property or sell at a huge loss, like a short sale.
Yep.
So they were kind of in this tough position for years and years of being forced to rent it out. And eventually, 2012, 2014, 15, 16, the market starts to turn around. And that's when these landlords started coming to me saying, you've been the guy that's been renting these properties out. Are you also the guy that can sell this thing for me?
I love it.
Maybe you're the guy that can also like tell me what a 1031 exchange is, right? Maybe you're the guy that can tell me, how can I get more rent if I want to continue being a landlord? Should I renovate my kitchen? Should I, put in new flooring? Should I do this or that? And that's when we really started digging into like how we can increase rents for owners, how we can do 1031 exchanges, when's the right time to sell, when's a bad time to sell, what's your tax implications, and where are you going to go next with your money? Like that's the biggest concern for landlords is if I sell, what's the tax consequence? And where does it go? Like what do I do with this big nest egg I've built up? Do I just put it in my back pocket and pay 35% capital gains tax?
Like, no.
Not ideally, right?
not nowadays, because so much.
It's crazy. In California, it can be up to 40%.
Exactly. Of like 400,000. And because the gains can be so high over here.
The gains can be so high. You start off with a basis. You got a huge amount of appreciation. And you got depreciation recapture. If you've owned it for 20 years, it's nuts. So, same thing applies out here in California. Like all those same things that I've learned out in Chicago, I've kind of taken here and, jumped on board with Marshall Reddick a couple years ago as an advisor with them, as someone that consults with investors. And that's my job, is just to talk to landlords like as often and as frequently and for as much time as possible.
And it sounds like they picked the right guy, because this year we're just coming to the end of the year, but we're at about 25 million in sales.
It's about 25 million so far. And I would say, 90% of that is investment sales. So meaning I'm helping landlords kind of navigate whether or not now is the right time to sell. Once again, what are they going to do with that money? Are they going to keep it here in California? Are they going to go out of state? And reinvest their proceeds or reinvest their equity into other investment properties in places like Texas and Tennessee. And to back up a little bit, Marshall Reddick, what uniquely attracted me to this brokerage is they've got offices in Tennessee, they've got offices in Florida, they've got offices in Texas, and they have agents that are trained there to go find good investment opportunities for investors from California.
For us. For us,
right? Exactly.
And that's what everybody needs right now. So the fact that he built his business around that,
it's incredible.
Is the best.
It's one of these things that I did it at a very small scale in Chicago, but here there's so much more opportunity. There's more investors, there's more money. But at Marshall Reddick, they've got these offices spread out in areas that are really advantageous for landlords that are trying to escape our onerous and draconian and challenging landlord laws, right? We've got more laws that are, protective of the tenants' rights.
Sometimes not even tenants, just like squatters.
Yeah, so sometimes
it's
squatters.
So crazy. How do you own a property and not, it's just so wild to me. I can't even wrap my head around it. When I hear some of these investors and their stories out here, not being able to get out a person that wasn't even a tenant, or maybe a tenant but still hasn't paid in months. So that's definitely a big issue that's out here. And then how do you guide them to either sell, like especially in this market. So I feel like a lot of people don't want to sell right now, right? So if they should sell, if they should 1031, maybe out of state, maybe to a couple.
We're basically every investor, every landlord is going to have their own unique goals.
Yep.
Right. Some are looking for cash flow. Some are looking for appreciation. Some are stuck in properties that have a lot of deferred maintenance, and they want a much easier type of asset to manage, right? Whether they're self-managing it or hiring a property manager, it doesn't matter because it's still your money that pays for the capital improvements, right?
Yep.
So what my job is to kind of learn their goals, right? What type of property do you want to have, and what type of result are you looking to achieve? And is what you own now matching what those criteria and goals are? And if it's not, and you've got, okay, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
I had a closing yesterday, a property in Irvine, a condo. It sold for $990,000. You can look it up. It's on 29 Poppy. It's one of the sales that I have.
Yeah.
Right? And 29 Poppy, the owners of that property were looking for cash flow. And they're looking for cash flow because they work in an industry that's been disrupted by artificial intelligence, right? And they are in a position where cash flow is much more important to them than just a bunch of equity that's growing through appreciation, right?
Like they need it now.
They need the money.
They need the flow. Yeah,
they need the money coming in. Now they don't want to sacrifice by selling and paying 40% capital gains and depreciation recapture, right? The penalty for selling your investment property and not doing a 1031. So we looked at it and said, your rents are less than $4,000, but you have $1 million in equity. They owned it free and clear. So they have $1 million just sitting there. And after HOA fees, after property management, after maintenance and vacancy, rising taxes, rising HOA fees, a property that's getting older, they had special assessments coming up because of the HOA. So capital expenditures coming up. And we looked at it and said, if you took that equity and put it in a place like Texas and you bought a duplex that's brand new construction, your rents and a single family home, they're going to buy two properties, a single family home and a duplex with their $1 million. And they're going to generate over $7,000 a month in income.
And no HOA, and they're brand new properties.
Brand new properties,
They don't have to worry about them breaking.
No, and they're tenant occupied, or one of the duplex is tenant occupied already. And so they're going to have instant income coming in. And for them, that met their goals, right?
Yeah.
Now, there's other investors that we talk to where we manage their properties or talking to them about property management, where we go in and we just say, this is meeting your criteria, this is meeting your goals, let's optimize it, right? Yeah. So a good example is I have an owner right now with an 8-unit in North Hollywood. It's in a rent-controlled environment. It's very challenging. He's got tenants that are, he pays the water bill, he pays the utilities, so guess what? They don't really care how much water is being used, right? So he's coming out of pocket probably $1,000, $1,200 a month in water. Yeah. And he's considering selling it in the future, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. Because of the way real estate investment properties work, if you can reduce expenses, you also increase the value of the property because the net operating income goes up. So we're looking at a project of sub-metering and applying all of the water bills to the tenants. Okay. Now the tenants are responsible for water, and also we're decreasing the water costs by $500 a month.
And they could do that?
Yeah, by sub-meter.
Okay.
Yeah, and with some of the tenant laws. Now, it's going to take time, right? The most important thing is decreasing the cost because now the tenants are responsible, right? Now, once we decrease the cost, it's going to actually increase the value of his building by $150,000 just by shaving off $500 a month of operating costs.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what we look at. We look at, can we assist you with saving on operating costs that increase the value of your building and then position you for a sale.
Just setting them up for success.
Setting you up for success.
Find the way, because they have a really good building if it's 8 unit. But that's interesting. So they can just why wouldn't the tenants already not be paying their water bill?
Yeah, so if you have one water meter, you can't really just say, you're responsible for this much, and this much, right?
So he just didn't do that in the beginning.
He didn't
split it.
Yeah, so you have to install sub-meters.
Oh yeah, you definitely have to give people boundaries.
Yeah, you do.
Or make them pay for their own
water
stuff.
Right? Yeah. And we're doing efficiency tests where we bring in our contractors and we go, let's test all the fixtures. Should we replace the fixtures? Should we replace any of the valves? Should we do this, or that in order to reduce the water costs, and then go through the city to do sub-metering, right?
Wow. Okay.
So that's like one way we're optimizing the usage
Smart.
of the property. And like I said, because the way investment property works, if you can reduce expenses, increase net operating income, you increase the value substantially.
Yeah.
So just $500 a month, based on how much people are paying for net operating income out there, it's an extra 100 G's in his back pocket in terms of equity.
Yeah.
So when he goes to resell, and that is something.
And that's just going to look better, for the next person, because they don't want to pick up. No. They don't want to be paying somebody's water bill.
Definitely not.
Especially in California.
No, I mean.
And because, think about when you go to a hotel or something, the lights are all on. You just keep the shower running for no reason.
Yeah,
you don't even need it. It's like that.
No consequences. Yeah, I'm not responsible for it.
It's just like that a little bit, I think that just like a little narcissist in us that's just like, I have the power.
Yeah,
I don't have to pay for it.
It's my turn to turn on the water.
Yeah, right? I'm just going to let it run for no reason at all. So I feel like, that mentality is not good, especially out here.
No, exactly.
On an investor's dime.
And water is not exactly a plentiful resource out here either. So, if you want to save the planet too, you're doing us all a favor. Less water usage.
I know. Well, and that's true, because now when they get it, it's just better for everybody, because now they're going to watch it. Or just like with that first time when you move into your own place, after you leave your parents' house, and now you're turning off all the lights.
Yeah, you're
you get your first light bill.
Turned to my father over here.
People come over, seriously, do you really need this?
Yeah, exactly.
100%. I know. That was one of the biggest things with me when I left, start to realize, okay. But 100%, that is so smart that, and that's great. I guess I haven't really, I do things like that for people on loans, but I don't hear a lot of it from real estate agents more helping the investors. Yeah. So your experience has really, fueled you to really put you in a position, especially in this market, when even something like that might cost them to switch it, but in the long haul, you're going to build them so much more in equity and in income, save them in income
and the property is more valuable. And this is kind of something my dad taught me. This is echoed at the top echelons of our company at Marshall Reddick, which is, if you can learn how to make people money, you're going to make a lot of money.
I love that.
Right? That's all my dad was a business owner.
Okay.
And was a general contractor. And it's if you can advise people and just make them money, it's going to come back to you tenfold every time. And people are going to be happy to use you. A lot of realtors are just going for the sale. They're not thinking about their client's future. They're not thinking about what happens after the sale, right? They're just looking at what kind of commission they're
to get them in, And it can never just be that one. You have to be, if you really care about their plan in the next 5 years, which it seems like you do that. Absolutely. You're looking at their 5, 10, 15, 20-year plan, how much income that they're going to be receiving, or, and then that is also way more likely for them to be like, oh, he saved me X amount. And now they're going to go tell, Joe that hey.
100%. And if you have that mentality too, if there's realtors that listen to this, if you have that mentality of I want to help first and then talk about something that would benefit me later, like a sale, right? When that sale does occur, when you're having that listing presentation, the idea of a commission negotiation is non-existent to me. No one has ever negotiated my commission, at least in years, right? It's 3%. It just is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, sure, okay, But most realtors would be terrified to ask for that in this market.
But I feel like it's also one of those more of the mental or that confidence. You are delivering them. Value. And I feel like when you pitch them, or it's not really a pitch, but you're giving them that solution, and you are like you are solving a problem for them, and they're going to earn more with you.
And it's usually built on a foundation, right?
And they probably have like it's more better for somebody like you if they have talked to a couple more people, because then they're going to be like, whoa, like then you really see the difference.
Yeah.
And I mean, my clients too, like I walk them through the entire things and, set the expectations, talk about just constantly gauging even like more in the future, or if we can't do it right now, exactly what they need to do, to set them up.
Okay.
I don't like put them to the side just because, now isn't the time.
That's called building a relationship.
Yeah, so and more likely, and just like throughout the time, like, look, here's where we are. We need to be here. Like, just let's keep moving together. And usually when I put that time in, like, that relationship has been built, and then there's no negotiation.
How much money are you making, and like, can we not make you that money?
Right? Exactly. I've had, and there's a few, but again, usually if there is some pushback kind of on the commission or something, it's usually more from a transactional, not really like a relationship.
Yep.
There's definitely a difference. Like there might be somebody that came in just last minute, maybe wasn't a referral. Usually if they're referrals and stuff, like that never really happens. Or even if I have several with somebody, like I'm going to do another one, this will be our fourth one. And I'm like, hey, I'm gonna cut this for you. Like I'm gonna lower
You're
this.
You're gonna do it intentionally.
I'm gonna do this, and I let him know because it's a refi. They don't want all these additional costs. And I'm like, I'm only gonna have some on the back.
Totally.
And then I'm not gonna put any on the front. So, but I feel like that's also. Again, with the relationship that, but no one's, he would never ask me to like cut it. Yeah. But I did that. He's not coming to you
being like, I don't see the value there.
Yeah. Right? No. I've also been like you. I've actually helped make him money. Like that last deal is the one that I was telling you about where we did the 15% DSCR and we got him the 15,000 in credits. So he was like ecstatic on that one that he didn't even have to put 20% down.
You do a really good job for people. People will send you closing gifts.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100. Yeah.
Like, whoa, you sent me something in the mail.
Like, thank you. I know.
Send you something in the mail.
I love gifts, or like even some good hashtags. I got a good hashtag on that one. Yeah. He did tag me like the best mortgage lender in the planet. I was like, everybody heard it.
Thank you. Yeah.
In the planet.
Yeah. It's settled.
And so like what's happening right now, and we're obviously both in like California, Newport, like these areas. There is a lot of money out here. There's a lot of equity. There's, a lot of investors. I feel like a lot of them are already, going out into other states. Yeah. There's clearly still a lot of misconceptions about that. And I know that you doing the 1031 and working with investors, that you do Marshall Reddick, you guys also set them up, make that process more smooth for them. So what does that kind of look like? How do you connect your agents and your clients to maximize their income, from other states?
Yeah, definitely. So misconceptions. I think a big misconception is that it's always the best idea to invest in your own backyard. Yeah. Right? There's also another saying, don't shit where you eat.
Yes. I know.
So, I know. I'm not saying that, if your own backyard is got a diverse base of employment, it's got a relatively affordable housing and like a runway for appreciation, and it's got, it's balanced by high demand from tenants. You've got just a robust economy. Like maybe your own backyard is great for investing, but that's not everybody's backyard, right? So what you do need to learn is how to identify good markets. Probably the most challenging thing here in California, we have a lot of those core foundations, right? But what we don't have is affordability. Yeah. Okay? So one thing is like, we're kind of like all-time highs for pricing, right? And it's like,
which is really hard to cash flow.
Yeah, it makes it really tough to cash flow. You have to come in with 50%.
He might need
down.
50. Yeah,
like,
I was going to say, because
50% on a DSCR loan.
Even at 20 or 25, no. Unfortunately, with the taxes and insurance, like you're not going to clear that.
The debt service.
Yeah, you're not going to clear it.
No, and so a lot of our clients are looking for some semblance of cash flow, right? Now, I'm not saying you can't make money in Newport Beach. That would be a ridiculous thing for me to say. But what I will say is that's not necessarily an accessible market for a lot of people.
And it's not, and it could not be maybe yearly sustainable. Like I know a lot of places in Newport, like, if you have that money, it might be making money, a lot of money, but maybe half, like half the year.
Totally. For like a seasonal rental or something.
Seasonal rentals. Like, I know they could crush it. Like during US Open, they're like some of those, they can make like 20. I know some guy that would make like 20,000 in that week. Just from that. So
you got 50% vacancy.
But it's just not really sustainable, I would say, for like a regular investor.
And
like
I would say
the
regular investors that we work with, they might have a few $100,000 to a few $1 million of capital to put to work, and our market is not very attainable for them, especially if they're looking for cash flow and looking to maximize leverage. Like leverage is one of the most important tools in real estate, right? We can put 25, 30% down on a property, ideally, maybe not in California, but in Texas you can, and get it to cash flow, right? And so now you've got let's call it a $1 million asset where you put $200,000 into it. That $1 million asset historically is probably going to appreciate, 5 to 6%. In some of these, in Dallas and in Austin, right? If you hold it long enough, 10, 15 years, it's going to follow that trend more than likely. And now your $200,000 is appreciating at, 20%, right? It's pretty great. Okay. And you have cash flow. Which is fantastic.
And that's what you needed.
That's what you needed. Whereas if you put that same $250,000 to work in California, you're probably not going to buy a $1 million asset. You're probably buying a $600,000, $700,000 asset. And what type of proproperty is that going to be?
And it's probably going to be in Riverside.
That's my point. That's my point. Like what type of...
Or where, like Barstow or something.
What type of property are you going to get? What type of market are you going to be in? What type of employment base with that type of, capital stack? Probably not the type of property that you have in your mind. It's going to be not the best neighborhoods, not the best school systems, not the most likely to appreciate, and probably more challenging tenants.
Exactly.
And so you can take that same amount of money, put it into Texas, put it into Tennessee, right? Or whatever market that has the benefits that I spoke of. And it'll really start to work for you. And so when it comes to your other question, which is like, how do we kind of navigate that process? So there's one, which is we have our own in-house client base. We've been around for a very long time. I looked in our CRM and some guy contacted us for a potential 1031 exchange, and he's been in our CRM since 2004.
And like not a peep, right?
Yeah. It's just like,
hit up like 5 years later. I know.
Yeah, and he thought about us 20 years later, right? And he's been going to some of our events and stuff. But we also partner with a lot of realtors locally that do have those landlords, that do have those friends and family members that own a 4-unit or a single-family home that has a tenant in there, and they're like, dude, complaining to their realtor friend or family member, like, this has been a nightmare. I've got maintenance coming up. I need to replace my roof. My tenant's not paying rent. Like, I've got $1 million of equity or $800,000, whatever it is. I want to sell this thing, but I don't. I don't know what to do with the money, right? And so that's where we partner up.
And they're going to get hit with all that. Tax, just not worth it right now.
They're not thinking about selling because they're worried about the tax and they don't know where to go with the money.
And you don't want to lose that appreciation either. Like, you don't want to lose.
Potentially. And so what we do is we work with local realtors that have those frustrated investors that want to get their money out. And we kind of educate those realtors on other markets. And then we help those realtors get the listing. Because that is a listing that's just sitting there, right? And they don't know how to get it because they don't know where to take
because they don't have the strategy.
They don't have the strategy.
And that's where a lot of it just comes in right now, is that strategy. And I would just have to say, because we did have him come in with another partner and do a presentation for us, and it was really good. We did the event, I invited a bunch of realtors, and it was one of my favorites because it was really valuable information. Like how you said earlier, what your dad taught you, like learn how to make people money.
Yes.
And these realtors that I did invite, they were very engaged, and they could see the
possibilities.
Yes, they could see how valuable it was, the possibility. I see their like wheels turning, like, okay, there were a lot of questions, and you don't always get that from a lot of like presentations, you do a PowerPoint. So I was just overly like, just so impressed with you and our other partner, Aristotle. And I just thought it was so valuable in this market, and so great that you guys have been doing that, because, even you're working to help them make money, like it's still, like you said, it's always going to come back to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Like there will always be some other way to come back to you.
Usually what happens is we do a lot of education, we partner with a lot of realtors, and we're going to help manage their clients' properties. And when the client is ready to sell, right, we bring it right back to that realtor.
Yep.
And we say, thanks for the referral. Go get your listing.
Yep.
Right? They do the listing, and obviously, naturally, the conversation is, if you're a good realtor, what are you going to do with the proceeds?
Yep.
Right? Are you going to 1031 exchange it? Yeah, I'm thinking about it, but I don't know where to go. Okay, let's loop in Chris with Marshall Reddick. They have offices in Texas and Tennessee. They've done 600 transactions in the last 12 months. 90% investment properties. These guys know their business. There's pro formas on their website. There's all this stuff where you can do investment research, and we can start connecting you with out-of-state agents, and then we'll pay that guy a referral fee.
Yes.
So now he's got the listing and a referral fee, and so the agents are like,
good.
Dude, like
that's amazing.
This guy that I didn't think had any chance of selling, because he had no idea what to do with the money, is now giving me a listing. So,
and now they get still paid twice. Like, I think it's true, and we kind of spoke about this before, is some of the realtors, it's more like a different mindset. Maybe the residential, they don't even think or talk to their clients about like going out of state, because giving away, it would feel like giving their client to somebody else,
it can.
Which is a different mindset, or is a mindset that I feel like that, especially in this position, that is holding them back.
It can be. I think it's like a reframe the question, which is like, okay, that client wasn't a client.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they weren't going to sell with you because you had no solution for them.
Yeah, but now you have a solution.
That was just a guy you knew that was struggling with an investment property, right? That was like, I don't know, I hate having this property. I hate having my money in California, but I'm not going to have you list my property, brother-in-law Sean, that's the realtor, right? You're going to have to just wait until I die to sell this thing, right? And like nothing's going to happen with this. And he has no idea how to educate the client on other opportunities. And now that there's a solution for those realtors, it's like, boom, the wheels start moving, as you saw in the presentation. Yeah. And they're like, oh, I can actually educate them to take that money somewhere else. Now I have a listing, because that was just a guy with complaints. Yeah. Now it's turned into a client. Now
it's a client. And you guys have already, like your team in the other states, these are all realtors that are focused just like you on investing and investors.
That's all it is. Yeah.
And when they get that client, they're going to walk them through, and it's not, they're going to be their person over there, but ultimately, it's just a partner.
Yeah. I mean, I will literally, this is kind of funny doing this live, but I'll show you a text. I teach what I'm teaching what I do, right? Yeah. So I had a client that we did a large exchange with. I had no problem. She wanted to invest in Seattle, which is a market that we're not in. Okay. And it was a $7 million exchange, meaning there was $7 million being sold that I listed and then closed. And then now I got to go find a realtor out there to go trust, right? So I'm like, but I know how to do it. Yeah. I know what to ask, questions and like how to partner make this simple.
Did you find him on TikTok?
No,
Okay.
what I did was we found him on actually my co-listing agent. So I always co-list. Speaking of mindset, like I'm a plentiful but bountiful mindset. And so I co-list because I'm not the guy that's going to do open houses and circle prospect and do all that, send out flyers and door knock. That's like not my thing, right? So I co-list with somebody that does. And my co-listing agent found this guy named Andrew, and he's a Seattle agent. And he crushes, right? And he knows investors, and he knows 1031 exchanges. He owns investment property. So he interviewed this guy on behalf of our client before we set him up with our client. Mm-hmm. And this is the text. By the way, there's about $3 million in closings today. That text was from this morning.
Oh my gosh! And they're already today.
And that's going to be like literally just
like 7 million. Like he found all the identified all the property.
We've already closed on 2.
Wow.
We've got 2 closing today.
So how many did they turn in that? That was a client from over here, right?
Yeah, that was a client.
And then how many different properties did they get in Seattle?
Yeah. So we sold one single family house in Beverly Hills for $7 million. They are now purchasing about 4 properties in Seattle for about 1.3 to 1.7, and then they're going to have another property about $800,000 in Tennessee where we do have a market. So she wants to diversify and put one in there. She was a little nervous about going out of state, and so she's like, "I'll put $800,000 there, and then I might put more there later." Right? Yeah. So let's give it a little trial run. But she lives in Seattle, so she's like, I feel
do those in the backyard. And if your like you said, if your backyard works,
her backyard works.
Like work it hard. But if it doesn't, like unfortunately, our backyard, is tough because of all these laws.
And I bring that up to show you like that's the easiest money you can make, right? So
and connecting, sometimes connecting. And, because I really changed my mindset too when I kind of became a business owner, and like, I look at everyone more as partners. And of course, you're not going to be partners with everybody. You definitely, if you're going to, really go in depth and really build. But when you start framing that as like, now these are like your partners out there, they're going to stay. It's all together. That client's going to be updating you about how they're doing. They're going to be updating you. It's the same with like me and my realtor that when we work with, in the loan. And I try to keep those, we are a team. Like when that deal is happening, like it's a team. Yeah. So I feel like once you kind of, it's not them versus them. No, like find the person that thinks like you. It's all about the client, about getting them the best deal, the best, the most money, making sure it makes sense. But then the more people, and if you have that energy, I just feel like in life you're just going to keep attracting it. And now,
relationships, and I'm sure it'll be mutually beneficial down the road because Seattle and Southern California, a lot of people go up there and come down here, right? There's a lot of tech money up there in Seattle, so Andrew and I have got a great relationship now. Yeah, it's like, okay, he and I worked this big deal.
And he's crushing it.
And he's crushing it.
And I'm sure he knows somebody that's going to leave there and go to California. Totally. And now you're his guy.
Now we're the guys. So, I mean, that's the type of mindset I would encourage agents to have is like, obviously, like you said, be very, very intelligent and be very intentional about how you vet a partner. Definitely don't just
send them like
a big deal.
Right? Like don't send a big deal. Just like, yes, I think Instagram and like TikTok and those things can be super useful. I use them in the beginning, my podcast, like I told you, but I still looked for a mindset. Like, and you could see this, and then, but make sure you get them on the phone. Make sure you kind of like, I would look at several different like sources, but
I mean, we spent probably 2 hours on conversations with Andrew before the client even talked to Andrew. Exactly. And then there was a call that was an hour long that we were on with Andrew them and the client to see like, okay,
I've been doing that a lot
how is this going to go? And then we obviously called our client afterwards and we're like, what are your thoughts?
Yes.
And she was like, I love this guy. I'm meeting him as soon as possible. And then they went and did a tour. The first tour, called the client. How'd the tour go? How was he in person, right? How was he, sending you deals? How are you guys looking at the deals? What do the pro formas look like? Can you share them with me? Can I review them with you? And then after like the first handful of properties they identified, I was like, this guy's just got it. He's a crusher. He's got it. I don't even have to worry about it. And now I just get texts like, close on 2 more today.
I know.
Thanks. Checks in the mail.
That's super powerful.
And so that's what we do is on the other side is we're the Andrews for Texas and Tennessee for the clients selling in California. And you just get checks in the mail from when we help your client 1031 out of here, if that's what their goal is. So that's kind of how we navigate
love checks in the mail.
Checks in the mail are not bad.
Or just straight to the account. Anyway, really. Mail, snail mail. I feel like, any app. And let's go into another big thing is for people, for investors that are moving in other states. What also scares them is how are they going to do it if they're not in that state? More like for property management, boots on the ground. Especially if somebody from here has a mindset, you could have a lot of headaches out here, constantly because of the laws and all the regulations. So how do you kind of guide them into, seeing out of that mindset into to maximize their rental income using property management? How do you get them connected?
Totally. So it's a great question. So we manage around, just in Texas alone, 2,000 investment properties. So we've got a full, robust team of property managers, accountants, maintenance managers, tenant coordinators, all these people that are there to facilitate the management. So when I have a client that's interested in investing out of state, they're not just going to meet the realtor that they're going to work with. It's do you want to meet with Kelly, the property manager for San Antonio? Do you want to meet with Glenn, the property manager for New Braunfels? Let's talk to them about the contract, the management, transactional stuff. What do we do? How do we handle maintenance? How do we find tenants? Because once we close on your property that you're going to buy, we're not going away, right? That's what happens with a lot of referrals out of state is that agent helps find that property.
And then gone.
And then they're gone. And it's no, we're beholden to what we told you. We told you this house was going to rent for $2,000 a month. Now that same realtor is going to go rent it for $2,000 a month, right? And if we fail you in that, we lied, right? And that's not going to happen. We're not going to let that happen. So we're very conservative with how we underwrite deals. We underwrite the deal with the investor, and then we introduce them to the property management team. We talk about if someone's into data, and a lot of our clients are software engineers, data.
They want to see the numbers.
They want to see the numbers.
That's definitely investors.
Yeah, investors want to see it. So we talk to them about property management numbers, which is what is your eviction rate? How many properties out of your 2,000 are you evicting? Okay. Well, is it over 1% or 2% or 3%? That's important to track, right? If a property manager doesn't know that, they're not tracking it, and that's a problem. Okay, so we go over the eviction rates, we go over the default rates, we go over the processes of when a tenant does pay rent late. If that does happen, what do we do? And then, of course, we go over the screening processes. How do we find tenants? How do we vet them? How are we looking at pay stubs and tax returns to make sure that they're going to be qualified to pay rent, right? On time. So we give all this information to the investor and make sure that they're first and foremost really comfortable.
Good. Yeah.
And if they're not comfortable, we have more work to do. But 9 times out of 10, they're going to see what we do and how we present all this information and go,
okay, you're good.
You guys
it's like that Andrew guy to you. You're okay, let me look at the first 2 or 3, and then,
let's do my due diligence.
The trust, because you have to build that trust.
And we have client referrals like that. Okay, so that one wonderful client that we represented in Beverly Hills, she didn't just give me a listing. She said, what are your 3 referrals from clients that have done similar size sales in this market and then have done 1031 exchanges? And it's if I didn't have those clients to talk to, I wouldn't have gotten that business, right? So
so she wanted to, she got your references.
She wanted to call my references and talk to my clients.
Oh, wow.
And so we'll do that. We'll say, go on Google, go on Yelp, go on Zillow, look at our reviews for every market that you're thinking of investing in. There's reviews of our property management team. You're going to see angry landlords if we're doing a bad job on our Yelp page. We can't control that.
Exactly.
Right? They're just leaving reviews. And so it's if we did a bad job, it's going to show.
They would be on there.
Going to be on there.
That's really smart.
Or talk to our clients. Yeah.
To kind of, check the references.
Yeah, and that happens a lot. And that's totally fine. We have tons of clients, obviously, that you can talk to.
Wow. Well, final question here. Just as we're wrapping up in the world of Chris over here and Marshall Reddick, looks like you are absolutely killing it. And just what do you see, what are some aspirations as you're wrapping up the year and kind of for next year? Is there anything that you're going to add or maybe something that you're going to really dive in and be more specific on to kind of grow?
That's a great question. Wrapping up is probably just, being with family and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's the end of the year. It's the time to do that.
To chill, yeah.
It's the time to do that. And then take a quick look at my business or a long look at my business and really figure out, where should I spend my time, right? Where are you most effective? I was talking to you about events and I'm like, I get so busy. I don't do the cold calling. I don't do the prospecting, like a circle dialer and stuff. I probably should, right? I don't go to enough events. So it's where do I want to put in that next aspect of my business that can help me grow? I think that the event stuff is really fun. I love doing your guys' event. That was really cool. Some more speaking and engaging, activity like that. And then just more of the connections with the realtors, because I think far too often realtors look at every realtor next to them as competition.
Yes.
And they have a scarcity mindset, not, a bountiful abundance mindset. And when you come into our office as a real estate agent from Keller Williams or Compass, and you walk into the Marshall Reddick office, you're like, these guys are all buddies. We golf together and we do all these fun pickleball tournaments and stuff. We do all this fun stuff and we're co-listing deals together. We're handing each other leads. It's a way different environment
culture,
because there's so much more to go around and we know that we have different expertise, right? So my job is really to communicate to realtors, there's so much money sitting in your pipeline that you haven't even thought or knew existed.
Yeah.
And if you partner with the right team members and the right folks that can help you unlock it, you're going to have a much more successful year, especially in a down market. So that's my goal, is to just kind of talk more with those realtors that have those connections, and obviously keep just having more conversations with landlords.
100%. That is so good. And I just see that for you, because even me sitting here, I'm not a real estate agent, but I'm a loan officer and I feel like I need that.
Yeah.
I have a lot of investors that are kind of, sitting there as well.
Sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah. Or just like you said, kind of sitting in the pipe. And if I knew the right partners or strategy, we can really create more deals and kind of bring them to life.
Yeah. Awesome.
So awesome. Thank you so much for coming. I'm going to have everything below for Chris and Marshall Reddick. And if you have any questions, this is your guy about investment portfolios and out-of-state investing. And stay tuned.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Tiffany.